In the annals of true crime, some stories defy belief, not just for their scale, but for their sheer absurdity. Imagine a heist not of diamonds, not of art, but of maple syrup, $18 million worth of it. From a secure warehouse in rural Quebec, Canada, thousands of barrels of the nation's sweet liquid gold simply vanished. This was no ordinary theft. It was a meticulous, months-long operation that challenged notions of security and revealed a shocking underbelly of the global maple syrup market. The Great Maple Syrup Heist stands as a testament to human ingenuity applied to illicit gain, leaving behind a trail of empty barrels and a profound breach of trust. Maple syrup is more than just a breakfast topping in Canada, it's a vital economic commodity, particularly in Quebec, which produces over 70% of the world's supply. To stabilize prices and ensure supply, the Quebec Federation of Maple Syrup Producers, or FPAQ, maintains a strategic reserve. This reserve, housed in a sprawling warehouse in St. de Blanford, acts as the world's primary maple syrup bank. It stores hundreds of thousands of barrels, each containing 600 pounds of syrup, waiting to be distributed to international markets. It's a system built on trust and collective security, designed to protect an industry worth billions. The St. de Blanford facility was believed to be impregnable, a fortress safeguarding Canada's sweetest treasure. It housed thousands upon thousands of these massive blue barrels, each sealed, labeled, and meticulously accounted for, or so it was thought. The sheer volume was staggering, a sea of potential profit under one roof. Security protocols, according to FPAQ representatives, were robust, involving limited access, surveillance, and regular inspections. Yet, beneath this veneer of impenetrable security, a clandestine operation was already underway, slowly siphoning away the reserve's precious contents with audacious precision. The intricate scheme began to unravel in July 2012, during a routine inventory check. A representative from FPAQ arrived to assess barrels due for shipment. What began as a standard procedure quickly escalated into alarm. As forklifts moved barrels and inspectors began their checks, a distinct lack of expected weight was noted in several. Curiosity turned to suspicion. Upon opening a barrel, it wasn't the thick, golden syrup that poured out, but clear water. This initial discovery, detailed in court records, signaled a monumental breach and the start of one of the most unusual investigations in Canadian history. Investigators quickly pieced together the method. The thieves hadn't simply rolled barrels out, they had meticulously emptied them, refilling them with water to maintain the illusion of weight and volume. This required specialized equipment, discretion, and an intimate knowledge of the warehouse operations. According to police statements released after the arrests, the barrels were emptied one by one, sometimes over weeks, in a remote corner of the warehouse, away from prying eyes. The missing seals, often carefully reapplied or replaced, were a critical piece of evidence pointing to a sophisticated, inside operation designed to delay detection. As the full scale of the theft became apparent, the numbers were staggering. Investigators estimated that nearly 10,000 barrels, approximately two-thirds of the entire reserve, had been compromised. This translated to over 6 million pounds of maple syrup, valued at approximately 18 million Canadian dollars. To put that into perspective, it was enough syrup to fill nearly 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools. The sheer audacity and scope of this vanishing act sent shockwaves through the FPAQ and indeed, across Canada, raising immediate questions about security and the integrity of a cornerstone Canadian industry. The magnitude was unprecedented for such a commodity. With the discovery confirmed, the Sûreté du Québec, the provincial police force, was immediately notified. The scene at St. de Blanford transformed from a storage facility to a crime scene. Investigators arrived en masse, meticulously documenting the compromised barrels, collecting samples of the water, and searching for any overlooked evidence. According to police press releases, the initial phase of the investigation focused on understanding the mechanics of the theft and identifying potential entry points for the perpetrators. The challenge was immense. A crime of this nature, involving such an unlikely target, had no precedent. The investigative trail quickly pointed towards individuals with inside access. It was not an external smash and grab, it was a carefully orchestrated internal operation. Police sources, later cited in court proceedings, suggested that the thieves had exploited vulnerabilities in the fax storage and distribution network. This involved not only emptying barrels but also coordinating their removal from the site. Surveillance footage, logistical records, and witness interviews became crucial. The task was to trace the flow of stolen syrup, following its golden path from the secure warehouse to its intended, illicit markets. Through painstaking detective work, investigators began to identify a network of individuals. At the heart of the operation, according to court documents, were individuals with direct connections to the maple syrup industry, possessing the knowledge and means to execute such a complex scheme. This included those who had legitimate reasons to be near the syrup or who understood the logistics of its transportation and resale. The narrative that emerged was one of calculated betrayal, where trust was weaponized to exploit a system designed to protect a collective resource. The spotlight turned to a small group of ambitious and opportunistic individuals. Once stolen, the millions of pounds of syrup needed to be moved and sold. Investigators discovered a sophisticated distribution network extending beyond Quebec's borders, primarily into the northeastern United States. The stolen syrup was funneled through various intermediaries, often mixed with legitimately sourced syrup to obscure its origin. According to law enforcement reports, the demand for pure maple syrup in regions like New Brunswick and Vermont provided a ready, albeit illicit, market. This intricate web of illicit trade revealed the global reach and criminal sophistication involved in offloading such a large volume of unique product. Over several months, the Sûreté du Québec, in collaboration with law enforcement agencies in New Brunswick and the United States, built their case. This meticulous investigation, dubbed Operation SAP, involved extensive surveillance, wiretaps, and intelligence gathering. The goal was not just to recover the syrup, but to dismantle the entire criminal enterprise. On December 18, 2012, authorities launched a series of coordinated raids across Quebec, New Brunswick, and the U.S., resulting in multiple arrests. The operation was a testament to interagency cooperation in tackling an unprecedented cross-border crime. During the raids, law enforcement made significant recoveries. Thousands of barrels of stolen maple syrup were found in various locations, including a storage facility in New Brunswick and a private sugar shack in Quebec. While not all of the $18 million worth was recovered, a substantial portion, valued at around $10 million, was seized. The challenge then shifted to verifying the authenticity and quality of the recovered syrup, a process that required careful testing and storage. This recovery, according to FPAQ statements, was a crucial step towards restoring faith in the industry and mitigating the financial impact. Following the arrests, the suspects faced a long and complex legal battle. Charges ranged from theft and fraud to conspiracy and trafficking. The trials were closely watched, not only for the novelty of the crime but for the implications it held for commodity security. According to media reports from the time, key defendants like Richard Vallières and Étienne Saint-Pierre were identified as central figures. Court proceedings detailed the elaborate scheme, the roles of various accomplices, and the methods used to evade detection. The legal journey culminated in convictions, with prison sentences reflecting the gravity of the economic crime. In the end, justice was served. Richard Vallières, identified as a mastermind, was sentenced to a lengthy prison term and ordered to pay a substantial fine. Other conspirators also received sentences, ranging from probation to imprisonment. The case set a precedent, emphasizing that theft of agricultural commodities, even something as seemingly innocuous as maple syrup, carries severe penalties, particularly when it impacts an entire industry. The FPAQ pursued civil action to recover additional losses, further underscoring the long-term financial repercussions for those involved in the heist. The legal outcome sent a clear message. The Great Maple Syrup Heist forced the FPAQ to re-evaluate its entire security apparatus. Measures were drastically overhauled. According to official FPAQ reports, this included implementing more frequent and rigorous inventory checks, enhancing physical security at the St. Louis de Blanford warehouse, and introducing advanced tracking technologies like RFID tags for individual barrels. Surveillance systems were upgraded, and access protocols tightened, making it significantly harder for unauthorized individuals to tamper with the reserve. The lessons learned from the heist led to a more robust, albeit more costly, security framework for Canada's liquid gold. The Great Maple Syrup Heist remains a peculiar, yet significant, chapter in Canadian crime history. It became a global headline, bringing an unexpected spotlight to an otherwise serene industry. Beyond the sensationalism, it underscored the vulnerability of even the most mundane commodities when trust is eroded and opportunity arises. It demonstrated the lengths to which organized criminals would go for profit, highlighting the need for vigilance in all sectors. The incident cemented maple syrup's status not just as a culinary delight, but as a valuable resource requiring formidable protection. The images of empty barrels, once brimming with golden syrup, serve as a stark reminder.